Hi, how are you doing? It is a gorgeous spring day out there today, and I hope that wherever you are, your day was equally as beautiful. So, I explained on another video that how I typically do this is I will start feeling nudged that I need to make a video, and I'll get a little tiny inkling of what it is that I'm supposed to share. And I started feeling that yesterday, but I had no idea what it was I was supposed to share. So I was talking to my team and saying, hey, it's me. If you would like for me to do this, I'm happy to do it, but I need more information. And then today they delivered in a big way. So I'm not entirely sure how to explain. I don't know that I have an explanation, how to explain what my experience was today. So I thought I would just share it with you and you can draw your own conclusions. So a little bit of backstory first. I live in a small town that is adjacent to the town where I grew up. And I, over the last 6 years or so, have really found great joy in taking long, arduous, hilly walks through both of these towns. I found it to be beneficial physically, but primarily I have found it to be beneficial to my mediumship work because I need some kind of a physical exertion to just kind of clear the pipes, so to speak. So the town where I grew up is the same town I lived in when my dad passed away. And that trauma and grief have been the childhood wound that has informed this lifetime for me, and ultimately what has led me to this work. So a few years ago, I was struck with the notion that as I was walking through this town and as I was walking by important places, the place where I was standing when my mother and grandmother came home from the hospital and told me that my father had died, the childhood home that I grew up in, that as I was walking by these places, that it was important work to send healing, love, comfort, to just send this reassurance to these younger versions of myself, or to younger versions of myself and to my family. So I was doing that. And then in the past couple years, I started doing it a little more sporadically. If I felt nudged to do so, I would do it. And so today, I was approaching the house where I grew up. And on one side of that block, there is this lovely little alleyway. And I used to walk this alleyway both before and after my dad passed to make my way down to a place that had summer volleyball leagues. And I played on those until maybe I was about 14 years old, I think. So today I was walking down that alley and I was suddenly struck with the notion to connect with a younger version of myself walking this alleyway, making her way back home from a volleyball game. And the version that I felt like I was connecting with was like my 13 or maybe 14-year-old self. So it was after my dad died when I was 12. And I could so viscerally feel her. I could feel her grief and how it was bottled up. I could feel her trauma. I could feel her physical exhaustion from having just played this volleyball game, and it was summer and it was hot outside, and I could feel the weight on her shoulders of having been thrust into a parental role for her younger siblings after her dad died, my dad. I could feel all of it. I could feel it so deeply that I knew that this healing and reassurance that I was sending to her was important. And I was telling her, it's going to be okay. You're going to be okay. Just keep making good choices, put one foot in front of the other, and it is all going to be okay. And then I was struck with this need to reassure her, keep talking to your dad. Keep talking to dad, because when my dad died, I would say the Lord's Prayer at night, and then I would talk to him. I don't recall ever receiving a message back from him when I was young, but I did feel comforted. So I have a sense that I felt his presence. So in this moment of reassuring this younger version of myself, I was also encouraging her, keep talking to dad, keep talking to dad. And then I turned the corner and I started to approach the house where we lived. And I was sending so much love and support to this younger version of myself, but also to my siblings and my mom. And this experience was different than any other one that I've had like this. It came with this knowing. And if you've experienced a knowing like this, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, ask for it so that you can know what I'm talking about. Because when we ask, we do receive. But this knowing arrived, and I know in my bones that this work I was doing today and sending this comfort and this reassurance to this younger version of myself, it was being received. Ultimately, I don't believe there is time or space. There's only now. We are all connected, which is what makes telepathy, mediumship, it makes it possible, comforting your previous younger versions of yourself. It makes it all possible because it's not linear. I believe that all of time is happening all at once. It's very difficult to explain. But I'll just share this experience with you, and it will meet you where you are. I was just filled with this knowing, and then it caused me to reflect on when I was younger, moments that I had a moment of grace where I felt comforted, like, oh, it's going to be okay. And of course, I don't doubt for a second that it was my guides, my angels, my dad, my enlightened masters, specifically Jesus, all comforting me, my ancestors, all of them. But after today, I just know in my bones, and I just got chills down my right leg, and anybody who's had a reading with me knows that when I get chills, that is affirmation from spirit for me that says yes, yes, yes. And I just know in my bones that today, the comfort and reassurance that I was sending to this poor little lost version of myself matters. I might not be able to see exactly how or have a recollection specifically like, oh, I remember that day I was walking home from a volleyball game and I just felt a sudden reassurance. I can't remember that, but I just know it. So my wish for you is that you not only feel and know the connections with your loved ones and you on the other side, and that you have continued relationships with them and you explore that for yourself. You don't need a medium to do it, but that you also, if you haven't already, come to value the inherent worth of developing an internal discernment, so that when something rings true with a capital T, or when you know with a capital K, that it doesn't matter what anybody else says, because you know it, you feel it, it's true. I feel like we are all walking around as creations of an all-powerful God, and we don't have a clue of how powerful we are. And that felt like the real message to me today was, don't underestimate your own ability to send love and care and healing and comfort and reassurance to future, past, it doesn't matter. Versions of yourself, of your loved ones, of your family, to those in spirit. Because as that brilliant movie said, everything is happening everywhere all at once. Because of time is not linear. Time is just actually a construct. So that's what happened to me today. What happened to you today? I hope this makes some sense. I hope that it finds, and I'm sure that it will find those who need to hear it. And I'm just walking in that trust in offering up these beautiful messages that I receive, and I'm honored to be the conduit for this work. So until next time, peace.